All right, looks like we're recording. Hello, my friends. So, what I have for you here in this video is I want to take you through the process that I used to basically to land one of my dream clients as a copywriter. And this is going to be useful for anyone who is freelance copywriter, potentially anyone who freelances, whether it's like web design, graphic design, anything that can be freelanced. Like if you have a dream or ideal client that you want to work with, the process I'm going to show you here will work. And if I remember to do so at the end, I'll pick up some of the principles that you can take away from this that that you can apply to anyone that you want to get in touch with, pitch, and ideally work with. Oh yeah. So when I was, planning out what I wanted to say here, I, I had it in my head that this was going to be a big, long presentation for some reason. When in reality, it's actually quite simple. So I don't think this will take too long. And I can all but guarantee that if you follow what I say in here and actually take it on board, this will work to get you clients, dream clients or otherwise. But I do want to follow that up with a couple disclaimers and just to bring to the forefront some of the inherent truths about cold outreach, because there genuinely is a degree of luck involved, and there's also you're banking on circumstances to play out in a way that is not in your control. And so, for example, and what I mean by that is when I first reached out to this company, it doesn't matter how good my outreach message was or any of that. I mean that is important. Like, your message needs to be good, but at the same time, because you're dealing with a human on the other side, so much of the response you get depends on where that person is on that day, on the specific time that they're reading your message. So if someone's having a shit day and you drop in with this awesome, cold outreach message and proposal or whatever, maybe they just broke up with their partner. Maybe shit's gone wrong in the business. Maybe their pet's sick. Maybe their kids are being little twits and their life is a mess. We're even though we don't know these people and we've never met them face to face, we've never talked to them, we don't even know who they are, we're still dealing with humans on the other side. And whenever you're dealing with another human, you have no control over the response, over how your message is going to be received, or over the outcome. And I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind at all times when you're doing cold outreach, because it's the response or lack of response that you receive has very little to do with you, so long as you've done your due diligence and research the company. You're not reaching out like a spammy dick, and you have a solid proposal for them and a solid first message. All that aside, you don't know what's going on in the life of the person on the other side. And especially at the time I'm recording this, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. Shit's all chaotic, upside down, twisted, and sideways. Every country has a different response, has a different situation. People's lives are all being affected in different ways. There are so many variables at play that affect the results of cold outreach. And I say that to remind you that it's important to not take what I'm about to share with you as a guaranteed path to success, because it's not. It worked in this case. I believe it increases your likelihood of success because it's built on sound principles. But it's still no guarantee because of all these other things, because we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with the chaos of the world. And it's important to remember. I think that was all of my preamble. So I'm going to knock back a little bit of my cider here, share my screen. and we'll get into what I don't think will be a terribly long training. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, well, right off the bat, there's the big reveal. So Saltara Healing Center is one of my dream clients. I have a lot of admiration and respect for their business, what they do, which is, so they run plant medicine ceremonies in, well, more specifically, ayahuasca ceremonies, which is a psychedelic medicine, and they operate out of Costa Rica. If you know anything about me, if you've read my emails, if you've been like in my little circle on the internet for any length of time, you'll know that using psychedelics as a tool for using psychedelics in a productive manner as a tool for personal growth is a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. They've been a big and important part of my life over the last few years. A lot of my friends as well. I wrote an essay series on, what, why, how, all the basic stuff on how to use psychedelics productively in your life. But Saltara is, I haven't been myself. Well, we can blame 2020 for that, but it's on my list of places to go, things to do, experiences to experience. And so what their main offer is are, I think they range from 3 to 7 day long retreats. So you go to their facility in Costa Rica. There's and you basically enter their world for the time that you're there. And they have things like yoga, meditation, dancing, breath work, like all the stuff that helps facilitate a productive psychedelic experience. And then each night that you're there, you sit with Mother Ayahuasca, as the lingo goes in this world. And it's all done under the instruction and guidance and tutelage of, because ayahuasca is an indigenous plant to the Central South American region. So they have locals, they have natives, they have indigenous people from the region who are in charge of delivering this experience to those who want to come. So given what they do, how they do it, my own interests, my own experiences in the past, I was like, Saltara Healing Center, dream client, would love to help, would love to bring my storytelling and sales abilities to what they're doing and help bring more people into their world, especially this year when travel and going to stuff like this is, it's been a massive dump has been taken on it this year. And so I know places like this are struggling, or at least I imagine they're struggling if people are not traveling. And so yeah, to me, it's a good pair. It's a good mutually beneficial pairing where I get to work with a company that I admire and respect. They get help bringing more people into their world. So the process of, a bit of a spoiler, but the process of how I actually landed them as a client. And it started with some outreach on LinkedIn. So I've been using LinkedIn as that's the main, or at least that's how I'm finding people to contact at companies and businesses that I would like to work with. And so again, there's a bit of nuance and a bit of limitation here, because on LinkedIn, in order to message people, you have to connect with them first, which is like friend requesting on Facebook. It's kind of the parallel. And when you ask to connect with people, you have about 140 characters or something like incredibly short to add to your request. So all you can really say is like, hey, you can say, hey, my name's Alexander. I'm looking to connect or network with people in X, Y, or Z industry. Are you open to connecting? Like, that's kind of I would say that's the standard good approach to building a network on LinkedIn. And that's also really all that you can say in that first message. And so right there, you need to understand you're dependent on the other person's response. Someone could see that connection request in that message and be like, fuck off, decline, I'm not doing it. You have a 50-50 shot. You can maybe do a little bit with those few characters to tilt the odds in your favor. In this case, the guy that I reached out to was, I believe is the director of retreats for the company. So nothing to do with marketing, nothing to do with the company structure itself. He's more helping on the retreat side, not actually bringing people to the retreats. He connected though. He accepted the request, and chose to connect. And so what I did after that was I took some time. I looked at his profile, got a feel for him. I went to Soltara's website. I took what I knew of them, and I put together there's no template here, completely custom cold outreach message. And actually, I will pull it up because that could be valuable for you. Oh, so many messages. Scott. All right. So actually, I'll show you the first message too. So first message to Scott. Hey Scott, I'm expanding my network of coaches on a mission to heal humanity. I'm right in line with the Soltara mission. I actually made an embarrassing typo in here, but it doesn't matter. I saw that you're the lead facilitator at Soltara. Would you be open to connecting? His response, hello, Alexander. Thank you for reaching out and nice to meet you. I'd be open to connecting. Is there anything specific that I can assist you with? So that was actually a key question and a contributing factor to the overall success of this outreach is he actually asked if there's anything, he asked if there's anything he can help me with. And what that does is that just opened the door for me to come in with my next message and basically I went for the ask right away because of how he set me up for that. And that's another thing, that's where nuance comes into it. That's where it's unique to the situation. There's a bit of specificity here. If he hadn't said that, I might have taken this in a different direction. But because he said that, I was able to lead in with this next message. Hey, Scott, thanks for connecting. For transparency's sake, I run a storytelling and sales agency. We exclusively work with businesses in what I call the consciousness expansion niche. For example, health and fitness, mindfulness and meditation, psychedelics, personal transformation. I heard about Soltara from my friends John Romanello and Amanda Bucci, who attended your New Year's retreat last year. True story, and a bit of social proof there. After having a poorly led ayahuasca experience myself in 2019, I was excited to hear their rave reviews about their experience with you and was planning on coming down to Costa Rica myself until, 2020 happened. So like I said, there's some social proof there. There's me showing an interest in their business that I had been planning to come down and see them, and fuck 2020. I finished the message up by saying, to be upfront, Soltara is tops on my list of dream clients, and I'd love to learn more about the business, the vision, and to see if there's a mutually beneficial way of joining forces. So that was my ask. That was the response. And when I look at it again like this, there's actually nothing, it's not super direct responsey. It's not there's no hard yes or no answer to that. And that's something, not the end of the world. It also, again, it's kind of putting the ball in his court, and my success is dependent on his response. And that's not something that's in my control. So all I can do at this point is wait and see. And this was his response. thank you so much for sharing a bit about yourself and what you're doing. It definitely looks like there could be some possible opportunities between Saltara and what you are doing. I'm really happy to hear that both John and Amanda had beautiful experiences here. Unfortunately, I was on vacation in Peru during the retreat, but definitely hope to see you in the near future for your own retreat. I've spoken with Melissa, who's one of the co-founders of Saltara, and she's definitely interested in connecting with you. I will include her email at the end of this message along with Sylvia, our marketing and PR person. Thanks again for reaching out. And I hope I'll have the opportunity to meet you in person for a retreat here. So another important thing, Scott is not actually, he's not the decision maker. He's not at the top of the food chain, so to speak, in Saltara. But he was, in this case, he was the door that opened into the company. He liked my messages. He liked what I was doing. I assume he went and looked at my profile, even though there's not a ton there. But, and then he took it upon himself to pass my message and my ideas along to the founder and head of marketing and PR. So that's wonderful. I mean, that's amazing. And that's what made this outreach campaign successful. And again, though, completely dependent on his response. And there's only so much you or I or anyone else can do to control that. And in this case, fortunately, it has worked out. But I keep coming back to this, but I think it's an important thing to remember when you're doing cold outreach is like you're dealing with other people, you're dealing with someone you don't know, and you're also dealing with whatever is going on in their life at the time that they read your message. That's a lot of variables that are up in the air. And sometimes you will win, sometimes you will lose. That's the nature of the beast. So in terms of the process from here, he gave me the emails. The conversation kind of left LinkedIn, and I got in touch with Melissa and Sylvia, and I shared this with Scott as well. And so I sent them a short email just saying like, hey, I referenced this conversation so they knew who I was. But what I sent them was this letter. I'm not going to go through and read it because it's 4 pages and about 1,000 words. Depending where this goes, perhaps I will link it so you can see. But what this is obviously completely custom. There's no template or anything involved here. Yeah, wrote this from scratch specifically for these people at this business. And let's see if I can pick out some principles for you here. So this bit kind of reaffirming like where I'm coming from and why I'm emailing these two, because I haven't interacted with them before. I've only spoken with Scott. So this is referencing that conversation and thanking them for being open what I have to say. A little bit of foreshadowing or open loop if you prefer, or teasing or cliffhanger, whatever you want to call it. But basically like what this letter is about and why they should keep reading. This bit, as always, when you're dealing with people you don't know, it is highly recommended, suggested, and important to actually like introduce yourself. Say a bit about who you are, what you do, why you're reaching out to them in the first place, and why you think you're qualified to be reaching out to them, and why you think, in the context of being a freelance copywriter, like why do you think your skills and abilities are relevant to them and their business? Important shit for them to know before they make a decision about whether they want to move forward with you or not. So second up, well, I guess this bit will make more sense if you actually read everything here. Short story short, I have, as of a couple months ago, I started what I'm calling a storytelling and sales agency rather than a marketing agency. And we work We work exclusively with businesses, as I noted in the messages to Scott, work exclusively with businesses in the consciousness expansion space, of which a facility that runs plant medicine ceremonies most definitely falls into. So this section really, it explains a bit about the Wizards of Wordcraft, as the agency is called. Oh, I'm gonna have to fix that. Sorry. And again, this is all about communicating like who we are, what we're about, who we work with, and aligning our mission and our business with their business and their mission. Very important thing. Very important thing for freelancers, because it's so easy, if you're not careful, to come across as someone who just wants a job, who just wants a paycheck, who just wants a PayPal deposit, who just wants like a client to work with. Whereas, and like true as that may be in some cases, you will do much, much better if you can communicate how who you are and what you do aligns with who and what the business is and what they do. Like magic happens at that point. Night and day in terms of approach. Okay, drink. So yeah, this section all about explaining like why I created the Wizards of Wordcraft, what we do, who we work with, blah, blah, blah. So after I've introduced myself, I've introduced the Wizards, and now I'm getting into getting these guys to envision, well, imagine a world where Saltara Healing Center and the Wizards of Wordcraft join forces, bringing the healing prowess of plant medicine to those in need, allowing them to achieve balance within. For the record, lest you think this is not actually saying a whole much and just sounds nice, I pulled all of this copy from their website. Regardless of where it grades in terms of like effective direct response copy, this is a case of meeting the client where they are, using the language that they're using, and I can worry about improving things down the track. So what do we have here? Well, really, this section was about pointing out, communicating the research that I did on the website and finding areas of opportunity for them. The big one for them is their email marketing. Fortunately for me and the Wizards, is that's our specialty, but they didn't really have a prominent email opt-in. They do have one, but like I said, not prominent. They don't email very often. There's no welcome. Like they're missing just a lot of basic opportunities there. So all I did was like politely point that out and then remind them, and then kind of circle back to the middle section and remind them why, like, you know, I can help you guys with this. It's no trouble. And then after that, to close this up, the next steps, some good old direct response principles in here for you. If you want someone to do something, whether that's take out the dishes, or sorry, clean the dishes, take out the trash, answer your email, book a call, make a payment, whatever it is, you need to tell them, because people need to be directed. And if you want someone to do something very specific, like if you have a specific outcome in your mind that you want, you need to tell people what it is and nudge and direct them towards that. So in this case, all I really wanted out of this letter was the opportunity to continue the conversation and maybe get on the phone with these guys and get to know one another, share more about my business, their business, and see what we can do together. So basically, I just wanted a reply and like for them to voice their interest in carrying on the conversation. And I mean, I gave away the spoiler a bit, but after this, their first response was, give us a couple days. Like, we all need to go through this. We need to talk about it, that sort of thing. all good. I appreciated that they replied promptly, saying that they would need some time to go through this. I think that bodes well in terms of client relationships, that they're readily communicating that well. And then about a week later, I heard back from them, and they're like, yeah, this is great. Love the letter, and would love to paraphrase what Melissa said, would love to team up with some of your psychedelic infused word magic, something like that. I don't know, something very on brand and amusing, and put a smile on my face and made me chuckle. So at the time of this recording, we're just kind of working on a time to get on the phone and actually hash out details of what I can do for them. And in this situation, we're going to do a work where we're just going to trade. So they're going to give me a free week-long retreat, which is about 10K, 12K US, in exchange for psychedelic infused sorceress word magic. For me, that's like a total win out of this, because I get to work with a company I respect, I admire, and I would have supported anyways. And I get like, if they were going to pay me cash 10, 12K, probably would have gone and booked a retreat with these guys anyway. So that all evens out. And it also makes, in my eyes, it makes for a good like first entry point to the relationship. So as I said, we don't really, Melissa, Sylvia, Scott, these people at Saltara, they don't know me still. I still don't know them. So by trading what they do for what I do, we can both get a feel for each other, if we like working with each other. And I get a better idea of what their product actually is, as they do with mine. And that's it. So that's the process of how I landed one of my dream clients on a pretty sweet deal, if I may say so myself. I said at the beginning I was going to wrap this up by bringing out some of the principles that you can take away from this, but if you were paying attention, I did that as I went through. But to reiterate, the main things are, if you're doing cold outreach, and that's the main part of your client getting strategy, you need to understand that you're dealing with humans on the other side. And at this moment in time, you're dealing with humans who are also, we're in the middle of think what you want about coronavirus pandemic and all that, but everywhere has been affected by it in one way or another. And these restrictions and limitations and shit that we're all facing they're global. Everyone's having to deal with them in some way, whether they're needed or not, valid or not, whatever you think or not. And thus, people are stressed, people are worried, people are anxious. There's chaos everywhere. It's so important. And I'm feeling this more and more as I make this video. It's so important to remember that, because people are people. However you're feeling about things right now, someone else is feeling them too, if not worse, maybe easier. I don't know. But cold outreach, you're dealing with people even if you don't know them. And it's important to remain cognizant of that and where they might be on a given day when they open your message. Like I said at the beginning, if someone's having a shit day for whatever reason, they're stressed, they're anxious, they see your message come through, it probably doesn't matter how expertly crafted or perfect the copy is. It just won't get a good response, because you're dealing with like a stressed out human. It's the nature of the cold outreach beast, and the sooner you accept that, the easier getting clients this way will be. And again, the other reason I wanted to share this with you is in part to show you that like these pie in the sky clients, these pipe dream clients, these people that you daydream about working with, but you feel you're not good enough for, that they're out of your reach, that it will never happen. Completely possible. You never know unless you ask. I sent that message to Scott with I had no expectations. I didn't even really have any hopes. I just was like, it'd be cool if, if I could work with Soltara and, do what I do best with this company that I believe in. So I'll ask. I'll see what happens, because you never know if you don't ask. But again, when you're asking, it's important to remember who and what you're dealing with on the other side of the equation. And I believe that concludes this Grandel training on how I landed one of my dream clients and how you can land one of yours. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, wherever they may be, or wherever this is posted. You're welcome to get in touch with me through email or message, whatever. Yeah, I hope this works for you. I mean, it should, in theory. As with all things, they all work in theory. So I guess a better note to end this on would be try this process out. It's, as you can tell, highly customized, highly personalized, no templates involved. But the extra time that you put into crafting these messages and these proposals for people, it will show in your results. Yeah, it just does. That tends to be how this game works. So off with you. Have some fun with it. And I'm here if you need me.